This is the second day of Korean War Veteran Digital Memorial Project, having interview from your chapter members. And I like your t-shirts. Could you explain? Korean
T-shirt? This t-shirt that I'm wearing, what happened was in '89, when we formed this organization, Central Long Island Chapter, actually in 1990, I became quartermaster. So that was my first job. So in order to do certain things, we had to get certain type of equipment. So we started to get t-shirts, hats, and so forth. So one of the guys, actually my co-partner, said, why don't we get a t-shirt saying, proud to serve? So I said, okay, let's kick it around, and we kicked it around a little bit, and we designed this t-shirt. You can't buy this in the store. So I approached a vendor, and I spoke to him what I would like. So he drew a few things for me, and I drew this, you know, sketched it a little bit, and this is what we came up. If you notice, it says Korean War vet, 1950 to 55. Now the reason we put 55 is that the war ended in 53, but the era of Korean was 1955. The last troops started to leave Korea. So we decided that in that era, the people could join our organization. So we designed this, and we came up with the medal, which is our Korean Service Medal, and we've been selling it to actually most of our members. But there are a lot of people that did buy it on different occasions. One time we were in Washington, we had a booth set up, and other Korean War vets bought. But most of the time, most of our members wear it.
What about knife that you hold?
Okay, this knife that I hold brings back very, very sad memories.
Show that to the camera, please.
Very sad memories. In Korea, we did multiple hand-to-hand combat, and this was one of my first hand-to-hand combat. I was there in '52, and we did what they call stalemate and trench warfare. At one point, somewhere up north, we were overrun, and the Chinese were coming to one point of the trench, and I was coming to the opposite side of the trench. And I met with this one Chinese soldier, and the first thing I did was I couldn't get my knife. I had a BAR, so I couldn't use a bayonet because I had no bayonet. So the first thing I did, I don't know why, I took my helmet and threw it at him. And because I did that, he fell. And he had this knife on him. So we struggled a little bit, and I took the knife off him, and I stabbed him multiple times, and I killed him. And he was younger than me. He looked like 14, 15 years old. But the sad part about this sticks with your memory, is that when you fire a rifle at a distance and the guy falls, you feel bad and sorry. But when you kill somebody close with hand-to-hand, you feel like a murderer. And I felt just like a murderer for quite a while. I couldn't get over that, looking at his eyes and his face, because I was on top of him. And there's some of the stains of his blood still on here. And I took it home. I could never answer you why. I kept it. And the worst part of it, it was made in Mexico, this knife. So he must have took it off a GI, you know, prior to that. But like I said, I don't know why. I took it home at the time, and I still have it. It's 59 years old, so it has a story of itself, and every so often I look at it and I have bad memories about it. So,
I'm sorry that you
unfortunately,
have.
that was a misfortune of war.
Let's change the topic a little bit lighter. Would you introduce about this
Okay,
funny looking boat?
all right, this boot, when we first got there, we had snow boots. The whole beginning of the Korean War and part of '52, and the end of '52, you know, the Christmas of '52, the winter rather, the military came out with thermal boots. And these thermal boots were better than the shoe packs, but here you didn't wear nothing but socks. The only problem with, and they kept your feet very warm, exceptionally warm, but there was a problem with them. The problem with this, if you didn't change your socks every so many hours because your feet sweat, they literally sweat, you get frostbite because the cold and the hot, and you don't change them, like say for 24 hours or whatever I think it was every 6-7 hours you had to change them. And if you didn't change them, you have a problem. And I had a problem. But what you had to do is you had to keep 2-3 pairs of socks inside your jacket, close to your body. And every so often, if you can, you take these boots off, and it was a ordeal to do that, because these things are not easy, and they're very heavy. But they served a purpose. You know, you couldn't really run. You could walk, but you can't run, and you couldn't walk too fast because, now we nicknamed these Mickey Mouse boots, because if you look at Mickey Mouse and his feet, that's what they look like, big and black. So I don't know who started it. Somebody started it with this Mickey Mouse, so it stuck, you know. Now, my problem was one time I had these boots, and it was in January, I think in January, something like that. It was really freezing. And I was on watch, okay? And I didn't change my socks right away. I changed my socks, but my right toe got so big and red, all right? So I got a touch of frostbite. But what happened, they were going to court-martial me, because if you wore these boots and you got frostbite, you got court-martialed because you didn't do your job. Yeah, you got court-martialed because you're abusing government property. You pull off the lines. So that's one way to get off the lines. So what happened was, what saved me is that the boot I had was a defected boot. It was cracked. So by being cracked, it was not producing its proper facilities of the boot. So that saved me. So I went to the aid station, and it wasn't as bad then, you know. But what they did was they treated me with it was like embalming fluid with some other solution. I had to keep bathing it. In 2 days, it was fine, you know. But as years went on, it got worse and worse because the VA or even the military did not accept frostbite, okay? And maybe in the 90s, they came out with a cold weather symptoms. So the VA accepted cold weather symptoms, and part of cold weather symptoms is frostbite. So I get 30% disability for that now. And I have to wear special socks, and in the wintertime, it kills me. You know, it gets numb, and then it gets burns. So as I got older, it got worse because the VA would not treat this because it was not considered a service-connected item. Okay, this weapon here is called the M1 Garand. It's an 8-clip weapon, fires semi-automatic, and it's a very, very active weapon as long as the guy that's using it has a good eye. I mean, it could hit somebody about 1,000 yards, you know, pretty accurate. Like I said, but naturally, the best is under 500, you know. Closer the better. And you start with this in training, you go all the way through training, and this is the weapon you use in Korea. Everyone used this in Korea. Now, the UN forces that came to Korea, most of them, Turks, French, they used this weapon. The only one with a British, the United Kingdom, they used their own bolt action. Now the South Koreans didn't like this weapon too much because it was pretty heavy.
Heavy.
And they liked the carbines because, let's face it, they're very short people and very light. So this weapon's 8 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
You put the bed on it, it's 9 pounds. So it's pretty heavy weapon. But the reason it's heavy is because it has a heavy recoil. So.
And that has accuracy. And
that's the accuracy of it. Like I said, and the sights on it are fantastic. So depends on the individual. Depends on the individual how you know, if he has a good eye and so forth. And the best guys that used this weapon were Southerners, or guys from Tennessee or Alabama. You know, guys from New York. It was kind of tough because we were not raised with weapons. You know, we only went to the penny arcade, you know. And, but like I said, this is one of the best weapons we had over there. This weapon here is M1 carbine. Now they had 2 carbines, M1 and M2. The M2 is a full automatic. This one is semi-automatic. This is an average one that a machine gun would use, a machine gunner would carry, a mortarman would carry, or an officer would carry. Now, an officer carries this, a lot of officers carry 45s, but most of our officers in the Marine Corps liked the M1 better because this weapon, in very cold weather, jammed a little more than the M1. So, and this one here is a 32 caliber, and the other one is 30-06. So this one here, sometimes you need 2 bullets or 3 bullets to put down a guy. The M1, one bullet, you're down. So it's a big difference. But it was a good weapon for what it does. This weapon here, oof, here is what the Chinese and North Korean used. It was Russian made, okay, and I bought this at a gun show. I didn't take this home. So there was anything that had Chinese or Russian on it. We couldn't take home. I had a Berg gun, I had a pistol, and the MPs took it away from me. But this is the average weapon. Now this weapon is about, I would say almost 10 pounds. It's very heavy and very long. If you see how long this weapon is, now you figure the Chinese, how short they are. Now this had a special bayonet that came out of the side like this. It was like a like a Civil War bayonet in the United States, and it was like a point, not flat like our bayonets. And this thing was put that on there, and it's kind of awkward. And I hate to say this, but some of the Chinese were good snipers, and they used this weapon for sniping. So it did its job. See how heavy that is?
Wow, really heavy.
That's heavy.
Oh my God.
See how heavy it is? Now picture you doing this. Now picture a bayonet on there. Now the bayonet sat about this high.
Right.
So
it might be taller than regular Chinese soldiers.
It was, yes, absolutely. Well, look at the size of it for me.
Right.
And I'm only 5'6", so if I'm this tall,
yeah.
It's an awkward weapon. Now, Russia used this all during World War II. Matter of fact, I think half of Europe has this. Finland has it, Czechoslovakia has it, all them communist countries have it. So this rifle's, I think it was made 1898, design. So Russia supplied a lot of areas, and China started to make their own. you know. But then later on in years, they just changed their method, you know. But this is, the reason that the weapons are heavy is because of the recoil. But the weapon, when you fire it, it goes up, so you need certain recoil. Now the weapons today, all the recoil's in the stock. So it's a lot different.
Yep.
You know, we didn't have the technology then.
Thank you very much, Sal. Your chapter member is waiting in the
Yes.
first floor.
Right.
And I know that out of this museum, you will find more stuff to share with the future generations. And as we get along